What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the other side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest of cybersecurity news, as well as behind those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Tynes.
What's up? What's up?
What's going on? So happy holidays, everybody. Definitely continue to tune in. So again, Monday and Tuesday are topics, Wednesday discussion. Thursdays will be a throwback this week, and then Fridays, everything else, movies, books, games, the holidays, all that good stuff will be discussed. Without further ado, I'll give it to Shannon.
All right, everybody. So this article actually comes from venturebeat.com, and it's written by, actually, this one doesn't have an author with it. So disregard that. But it's why training LLMs with endpoint data will strengthen cybersecurity, right? So for LLMs, it's large language models, right? So what they're talking about here, it's kind of like heuristics, right? It's trying to figure out and get ahead of the game to find new threat patterns, and it being more what am I trying to say here? Not being reactive, being
Proactive?
more proactive. There you go. Thank you. Yeah, being more proactive and not as reactive, right? So the goal, what they're trying to do here is they're trying to mine attack data to find new threat patterns, right? And then correlate and fine tune the LLMs and the models, right? So what you end up doing is you get in by doing this, you have endpoint detection and response, right? And what you're trying to do is extended detection and response when you do these things. So again, you want it to be one of those things where it's not like, okay, you wait for something to hit to be like, okay, yeah, that's a problem, and then address it then, right? Like that's reactive. That's what they're trying to get away from here. They're trying to do these large language models and get them to figure out things that can be a problem and head it off at the pass, right? So Palo Alto networks, right? Like Palo Alto, very popular. They say they collect the most amount of endpoint data in the industry from their XDR, right? Which is almost 200 megabytes per endpoint, right? And that's 10 to 20 times more than most other industry participants that do this. So they do that again to try to get it ahead of the game, right? They're taking the cross data, they're cross correlating, they're trying to put these things into their firewalls, right? Because Palo Alto, that's where their money is made most of the time, right? They have other things, but firewalls is usually, what where their bread is buttered, right? And so that's attack surface management that they're trying to deal with, right? So they use the XDRs to try to say, okay, this is what we're seeing, this is where we can head this off, and again, not try to be as reactive to it. Now, again, with firewalls, you can put different exemptions in there. You can put different rules in there, right? To say, okay, this is what I want. This is what I don't want, right? But what they're trying to do is they're trying to filter out the noise, right? So there's a lot of times where stuff's coming in where it's kind of like garbage in, garbage out when it comes to that, right? Like whatever you put in, whatever you put in when it comes to exceptions and things of that nature, you got to make sure it's actually action worthy, right? Like you don't want to be blocking things that could be legitimate and vice versa, right? Letting through things that may not be legitimate, right? So I think that's the crux of what they're trying to get to here, right? So data endpoint security is always something, especially when it comes to like these ransomware groups, right? Like you want to make sure they're not getting through your firewalls, or they're already on we call them endpoints, but like your computers, just think of it like that, right? Just doing things they shouldn't be doing, right? This is how it usually happens, is that they'll find a way to get something through to you. It's kind of like spam filters too, right? They kind of do the same thing. The spam filters are a firewall for your different mail service carriers, so they can weed out the good and the bad, right? You have the same thing, like I said, email, right? Web traffic, network traffic, identity solutions, things of that nature. So they're just putting a lot more into these things and doing more training on them to try to get ahead of the curve, right? Which is a good thing. So this is one of those things where you see it in the background, though, for the most part, right? Like unless you're actually working in like infrastructure, Ryan, like you're familiar, right? With like, unless you're working in that and seeing it day to day, and applying those different rules and things of that nature, for most people it'll be seamless, right? But this is what they're trying to get. This is what they're trying to get to, right? To where it's kind of less people being more hands-on with things is what I see they're trying to do, right? And make it more automated, you know what I mean, to where it takes care of itself, which is kind of what you want, right? Because I mean, I say that, right? Even though we say, hey, there's all these many people that are needed in IT and cyber and whatnot, you still want to automate as much as possible, right? So that you can do more, right? Because that's just the way the world is going, is that you're trying to stay ahead of the bad guys that are doing all these things that they're smart, right? Idle hands, work of the devil, right? We've said this on here before. And with all the time that they have to just sit down and do bad things and then ask for a ransom, like the people that are doing the good work, I mean, there's way more they have to do to keep them off their back, right? Um, but yeah, trying to get ahead of the game, trying to make it uh, more proactive, not reactive, and do better in identifying things that don't have to necessarily attack you first, right? So, which I guess is being proactive. But Ryan, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, AI is the future, right? It's legitimate. It's a real thing. It's going to make our lives easier. And in this case, it looks as though it will make things more proactive when it comes to firewalls being more, I guess, have the ability to self-heal as well as to identify things, uh, uh, heuristics and things of that nature before they can become problems. Because at the end of the day, like, because we're always going to say like, okay, AI is going to take our jobs and things of that nature. So it won't. I don't believe it's going to necessarily take our jobs, but like you said, it's going to make it easier to orchestrate and automate these processes because we just simply cannot keep up, right? Like the whole uh, SP solution where you have somebody sitting in a network operations center or a security operations center 24 by 7, looking at monitors, trying to see things before they happen is not realistic, right? It's more of flags are tripped, things are already happening, and then they come in and they react to it, right? They're more firemen than they are detectives sometimes. Like there are people who threat hunt and things of that nature, but again, it's not feasible to always catch things before they happen. It's more of how are we going to quickly turn this around and either salvage what we can or stop the hemorrhaging before it gets worse type solutions. It's very reactive. I think AI will, if implemented correctly in this way, be more proactive, where you can stop either the bad guys in their tracks, or you can stop your um, users from clicking the wrong link and causing the disruption to begin with, right? So it's stopping them from getting the bad links, it's stopping them from being able to execute the uh the malware and things of that nature. So if anything, it's a watchdog. It's somebody who's there on patrol, making sure that you are doing what you're supposed to do. Um, to defeat the trap that the bad guy is it's set, right? As opposed to always trying to see the threat as it's inbound, which is just there there's a balance there, but at the same time, we're very slow to pick up on it. Is what it seems. Like attackers are very good at what they do. They slip through the cracks. They're using social networking, as you saw with the MGM and Caesar issue. Like a lot of these things have a human element behind them, and it's very easy to trip up your users, no matter how much training you do with them, right? It's just the bad guys are getting better and better, and they're using AI as well to implement their plots and their ploys to trick your users and your customers. So why not use AI on our side to be more react or more proactive, to help you, to guide you to not doing these things. So I think that this will definitely help out a lot. I don't think it's necessarily going to cut into jobs because you're still going to need people who understand it, people who can see the false flags, right? Like where it's like it's blocking ports or it's blocking protocols or it's blocking traffic that is necessary, right? So need people who can go in there and make those adjustments to the firewalls and things of that nature. It's just that now you're going to have to also have a set of tools with you to understand AI and how it's implemented and how you can uh, uh, configure it to make sure the traffic is passing correctly and things of that nature. So uh, it's more of an augmentation tool than a replacement for human beings. You're still going to need people because AI is smart, but it's not that smart, and it'll never be able to, um, at least not in the near future. It won't be able to decipher uh, weird good traffic because that's a thing, right? Like we're supposed to have in the military all the time where it's like we need these two things to talk to each other, but the firewall is like, this is bad traffic. Like, no, it's good traffic, and we understand it to be good traffic. We have to, make adjustments accordingly. You're still gonna need people for that. AI just won't be able to understand that, at least not nowhere in the uh near 10 to 20 year time frame, in my opinion.
And
So
that's what you've mentioned before in the past too, right? Like garbage in, garbage out. And this is what I was talking about with like firewall rules and things of that
yeah,
nature. It's exactly what you're saying is that, yeah, this looks weird to me. This does not look legitimate, right? So yeah, it keeps throwing it away, right? Like
right,
that's
right.
not the case, but yeah, dead on,
Yeah.
dead
Yeah,
on.
so I think it's necessary too, because like again, because I hate to dig on training, because training is very necessary and very important. However, things are getting so sophisticated that yes, you still need the training. Uh, However, the attackers are also getting the training, right? It's like anything else, right? Like uh, you provide people training in order to keep them safe, but you're also providing the training to the bad guy as well, right? Especially their inside threat. So they're seeing exactly what needs to be done to then circumvent the training. So you still need it for the masses. But however, the bad guys are still learning. And they're still going to adapt their strategies to get better and better. So now you need something that's a little bit more um alert, right? Because it's like people are people. Like they're good at what they do, but they're not on guard 24/7. It's just not possible. Like you're not gonna ever get full 100% production out of people all the time. But with AI tools, you can, right? They're always on alert, they're always working. They don't need to rest per se. So you put the two together, it's a pretty good marriage, in my opinion.
And that is exactly how AI will kill us because it does not rest.
There you go. Doesn't need to take breaks. Full circle, Skynet. But yeah, I think it's a good thing. Hopefully, these tools are implemented, and it's going to go across everything, right? Like it's going to probably start in the data centers, the SOCs, the NOCs, things of that nature, and sooner or later it's going to bubble up to the GRC, and things that like that makes me nervous. Like, don't replace me. But I will love to take these tools on to get better at what I do, right? Like to implement my ideas by using AI. That would be great. So as long as we stay in that direction where I'm augmented by AI as opposed to AI feeding off me, Matrix style, we're good to go. But definitely continue tuning throughout the week. So Monday, Tuesday are topics, Wednesday discussion. Thursdays will be a throwback this week, and then Fridays, everything else, movies, books, games, holiday stuff, all that good stuff. Definitely, like I said in the last episode, take time for yourselves, take time with your family. Happy holidays. Stay safe, stay secure.